you have to believe that something different can happen. He who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right. That most of you say you want to be successful, but you don't want it bad. You just kind of want it. You don't want it badder than you want to party. You don't want it as much as you want to be cool. Most of you don't want success as much as you want to sleep.
Welcome to Next Level Nurses, your host, Joel MacDonald. Thanks for tuning in to Season 2, Episode 1. This podcast series is created to answer your questions regarding traveling as a nurse. As a recruiter, I get your applications all the time, and when I call you, it goes straight to voicemail, and I try over and over to get connected with you. It wasn't until a nurse on last Tuesday connected with me and she said, Joel, I need to talk to you so bad, but I don't have the opportunity right now. Can you call me later on today? Around 4 p.m. And so I connected and I said, yeah, no worries. I'll call you at 4 p.m. today. And I stayed after work because we were in different time zones and she was in California and I was on the East Coast here. And I tried calling her at 8 p.m. my time after everyone left from the building. I think the cleaning lady was there cleaning. And I called and never connected with her on the phone. She texted me the next morning apologizing tremendously how she was so sorry. She still has some questions, but she was so busy she got called in to the hospital, which I'm sure as you nurses out there can understand, that happens quite often. So I said, no worries. You know what I'm going to do? Send me your question. I will answer it to you in audio and send it back to you. So we went back and forth like this for a couple days and she was so happy. She won't be coming on board until January, but I was so glad I got to answer some of her questions. So that's what this podcast is all about, answering your questions. So how do you get the questions to me? Simple. Go to my LinkedIn page, Joel MacDonald, and send me a question right there. Or email jmacdonald, MacDonald, at gowithadvanced.com. And I'll put them at the end of this podcast on each week's podcast. So let's talk about what to expect in this 13-week podcast series that launches every Monday. The reason I put it as 13 weeks is because that's the typical contract as a traveling nurse. They're going to be from 13 on the average, 52 on the longest. So let's talk about what to expect each week. Week 1, which is this week, we're going to be talking about why travel and also how the pay works. The reason there's going to be 2 subjects in this week is because typically the second subject would be where I'd have your questions and answers. Week 2, agency versus recruiter. Week 3, should I be exclusive with my recruiter? Week 4, when does my interview start? Or say yes to the right dress/contract.
Dig deep down, ask yourselves, who do you want to be? Figuring out for yourselves what makes you happy, no matter how crazy it may sound to the people.
Each season, I like to start off and introduce myself to you all over again. I'm a recruiter for nurses. I work for a company called Advanced Travel Nurse here in Daytona, Florida. I'm also a creator on the side. I do drone cinematography. I love making videos as well on my phone for Instagram and other companies out there. I also own a company. If you're ever in Daytona and would like to rent electric bikes, definitely let me know. I'll definitely give you a bike to ride. But I always tell my nurses one thing though. You have to take the bike and you just have to go and never come back. And that's the concept of traveling. It's just the concept of just going. And then the other thing is, obviously I am a recruiter, but the other part of it is I love helping people. Now, the reason I got into this industry is because it's a win-win industry. It's not like a car salesperson where you're negotiating, haggling, and trying to steal the best price for myself. No, if I can get you the best price, I love that aspect about my job, and I'll tell you more about that in the weeks to come. But the other part about it is that I remember going for my interview and my boss, I didn't know that was going to be my boss at the time, her passion for helping nurses, that's what drove me into going into this career. I saw her passion and I said, I want to have that same passion and be able to give that out as well. And the other jokingly part about it is every Thanksgiving I get to hear about my brothers who are also in the medical field, how they talk about how much regret they have for not getting into the traveling industry. So because of that, I want to implore you to take this opportunity, take a listen to this podcast, and think about traveling. It's an incredible opportunity to get out there, see the world, and to go with it. And that really transitions us to their next topic. It's going to be why travel. So let's get started into that topic.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us.
Are you complacent or in complacency? Are you saying this is good, or I'm fine, or I'm settling? Perhaps you're in like this autopilot mode, or you can't see new opportunities. Then let's change it. This is what traveling nursing is all about. Sometimes we're at a job or we're in a situation and we're like, man, I am so complacent, or I'm just saying, like I said earlier, this is good, or I'm fine, or I'm just settling. Or that autopilot mode where you're just going through day by day by day. You don't really remember what Monday was, and you don't really know what you're going to do on Friday. That's this autopilot mode that you need to get out of. Have some joy in life. Have an adventure.
Make a choice. Like, you just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide.
So let's change it up, okay? Maybe you're just around the wrong people, or you're around the wrong coworkers. Maybe that like environment at work is not going so well right now. Even your friends, you could have the wrong social friends that you're hanging out with that's creating this negative environment for you, or even that relationship that you just don't know how to get out of. You know, I heard someone say recently, they said, the greatest gift sometimes is goodbye. Now, I'm not saying this is for every traveler out there, and this is the reason why they got into traveling. And I like to say this caveat. It's funny because I have it in every episode I do, no matter what the subject's about, but it's that everybody is different. So you're going to be listening to me in this 13-week process, and you're going to be hearing a lot of the things I'm saying, and you're going to go, wow, that really relates to me, Joel. Thanks for saying that. You know what, Joel? That's not to me at all. I don't know where you got that from, but I'm completely different. And that's true. Everybody is different. Even a twin, if you have a twin of yourself, there's going to be certain aspects that are going to be completely different to the other person. They might be smaller in twins, but it's still the rule of it that everybody's different. So back to my point though. Let's say, you know, like I said, the greatest gift sometimes is saying goodbye. So say goodbye to the wrong person, say goodbye to the coworker, say goodbye to the friend, or even say goodbye to the relationship. Same thing to that autopilot mode, saying goodbye to autopilot, saying goodbye to this is good, this is fine, or I'm settling. Even in my own career, I've noticed that as well. I've said I'm good, I'm fine, I'm settling. And I said, you know what? No, I want to push myself and challenge myself even further. I want to help nurses out there. I want to say, nurses, you have questions, send them to me. I'll create a podcast. I'll do the extra work. I'll go home on Saturdays or on Sundays, and I'll do this extra work. I had a nurse email me last night and called me today, which is Sunday. And she emailed me about a job that was opened up, and I said, yes, it still is open, but we need to go after it because I know it's closing on Tuesday. And so she said, oh man, well, I have my resume. So I said, you know what, call me on my cell. So I gave her my cell, and she called me, and I talked to her, and I said, you know what, send me your resume. Let's get everything started now. That way, if I can do everything now, Monday I can give it to my account manager, and let's push it to that job. And she was like, you're not off today? I said, oh yeah, I've been off since Friday, but I've also did another resume Friday night. I talked to another nurse in Michigan. I talked to two in California on Saturday. I did reference calls as well on Saturday. So I'm always working, and that's the type of recruiter I am. But that's because I'm not saying I'm fine, I'm settling, I'm good, or I'm on autopilot. I'm pushing myself to be even better at what I'm doing. Okay, yeah, I know, I get it. You're going to say nursing is different. Why are you saying this? This is about a motivation thing. This isn't about nursing. But really, I want you to be motivated to travel. I want you to be excited to travel. Get out of what you're doing right now, and let's just do something different in traveling. You only have one life. Don't play with it. If you want to see what traveling is all about, then pause this podcast and just connect with me on LinkedIn. No, literally, just pause this podcast or delete it or stop, whatever you have to do. And go to LinkedIn, go to Joel MacDonald, or email me at jmacdonald@GoWithAdvanced, and send me an email. If you want to see a future that's brighter than the one you're at right now, then call me, email me on LinkedIn.
said to the kid, it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. Get up. Get up. And don't ever give up.
Every episode has to go through this rhythm that you're going to notice. And this rhythm is like my reason for creating the episode, being open to the audience, and you're going to see that in the pay package that I'm going to go over with you in just a moment, and then being persuasive as well. If you're not persuasive in your as a creator or the content you're creating, then what's the reason that you created the content? You get what I mean? Like, I'm here to help nurses answer questions that you might have, but I need to persuade you to leave the questions. So there's always some type of persuasion going on. But anyways, like I said, that's my why nurses. And like I said, I'm going to go in every episode and talk a little bit more about why to go into traveling as a nurse. But now let's jump into the fun part that everyone is dying to know about and is dying to hear from a recruiter, of the transparency of how we get paid for you, the nurse, and me, the recruiter.
To be able at any moment to sacrifice what you are for what you will become. Most of you won't be successful because when you're studying and you get tired, you quit. I don't do well in math. You're right. You ain't never studied. I'm not good in writing because you have never written before.
Alright, so to understand how the pay works, let's actually walk through an actual scenario from start to finish. And this is a real live scenario that actually happened to me. I might change some of the details of it, but this actually did happen to me. So nurse calls in, she sent in her information, her packet. She wanted a recruiter to reach out to her, and it was pushed onto my desk to reach out to her. I called her. We finally connected. I asked her, why do you want to travel? So the three things I'm looking for from a nurse when they say, why do you want to travel? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't work with every nurse out there, and you shouldn't work with every recruiter out there at the same time. I'm at the point where I can be a little bit more selective with the nurses I want to work with, and there's a reason why to it. I don't like getting down the road and finding out things about a nurse that I didn't know about. So if I'm able to ask the right questions and look for the things I'm looking for, which are going to be schedule, money, and location. So why do you want to travel? Is it going to be your schedule? Are you looking for better money? Or are you looking for a location, somewhere to be? These are really important, and even in the interview part in week 4 that I hope you tune in for that, you're going to hear me talk a little bit more about why these three are so important. But in this specific scenario, she chose location. She said the location is super important. I want to be in Baltimore in my first rotation. After that, I'm a little bit more selective, but my first rotation is Baltimore. And that's fine. You know, when she told me that, I got very excited because you can. And on your three choices here, schedule, money, and location, those can change depending on your scenario. So her first one, she's going to be very selective on location. Her next one might be the money. The next one might be the schedule. And like I said, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. That's going to be in week 3. I really dive into each one of those, and it's incredible. But in this example, like I said, she said Baltimore, 50 to 80 miles from Baltimore. So I put the filter at 100 miles. And there was 2 jobs around $1,700 to $2,400 was both jobs. That's what they're paying. I believe she was mom baby is her specialty she was going for. So I'll expand a little bit more on the reason I'm looking for those, like I said, in the podcast. But here, let's continue on. So her specialty, like I said, was mom baby. Obviously, you must be acute with 2 years in 2 years of experience in that specialty. There's a little bit of wiggle room with that. We can go in that in depth, and if you have a question about that, send it to me on LinkedIn, and we'll talk more on that. But so the next step, I said, is send me your resume and send me pictures of the front and back of your certs. I then have to call a reference and then put this whole packet together according to the resume. And one of the things important to have on your resume, and I find this a lot of nurses that just don't have it, is having the month that you started and the month you left the job. Having that on your resume. A little free bite that'll help me out if you're listening to this. And then the next thing we do is I get you ready for your interview. And listen, like I said, to week 4, we go some incredible points. A lot of nurses don't really understand when the interview starts. And a little tidbit of information here. You think the interview starts when you talk to the hospital. That's not always the case. The interview actually will start when you pick up the phone, when I call, or when you call in to speak to a recruiter. That's part of the whole interviewing process. Like I said, I choose you just like you're going to choose me. I want to work with the right nurses. I'll tell a nurse on the phone. If they call me, he tells me he told me a specialty he was looking for in Michigan. I told him straight, I don't see that come across often. The pay that he was looking for just didn't match what I know I can work out for him. I said I may not be the best option for him. He may want to look for someone else. So, now we have to get ready for the interview. Now here's the fun part. Let's talk about the money. I actually have the contract sitting in front of me here, so we're going to be diving into this contract and being very transparent about it.
Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft.
Now this example is special. Not all scenarios are going to be the same, and to tell you as well, these interviews are going to be on the phone. I guess I just gave that away, but these interviews are going to be on the phone. And like I said, every scenario is going to be a little bit different. Some interviews might go so poorly that the nurse just moves on, and it might be even so poorly that the recruiter will move on. The second is the interview goes well, the hospital does not quite give you a contract, but it does go well, and I'll follow up with the hospital, and then I'll even have my account manager follow up as well. Then third, the interview goes so well they give you an offer. And then we start preparing you for a start date and moving forward, or for the interview goes so well that you get the job on the spot, but also they offer us a little bit more money. And this is why having the right recruiter is important to you, and understanding how the recruiter gets paid. Because see, I don't get paid that if the fourth option happens, that the interview goes so well that we even get offered more money, and I go, hey, yeah, don't worry about it, I'm still going to get you that $2,000, and I'm going to pocket the other $300, or the agency's going to pocket it. That's going to be horrible. Don't work with someone that's going to work like that and not going to be transparent with you. If they give me more money, I want to give you that more money. Give you more money as well. And to be transparent, like I said, is how I get paid is if you show up to day 1 and you work your 13-week contract. I'll get paid for you doing those things, not if I get you more or less money. Now, this scenario, mom, baby, Baltimore, I quoted her $2,300, and the offer came back. Well, I quoted her $2,000, and the offer actually, we were able to get her $2,300. Now, like I said, the job gave me a little bit more money, so I gave her a little bit more as well. Now, taxable wages, typically, this is how we're going to break it down so you can understand it, but understand this money. A lot of you nurses out there might be saying right now, it's like, okay, well, that's great, mom, baby, Baltimore, $2,000. That's what I get paid weekly anyways. Well, what's the difference? Well, this is the difference, okay? Taxable wages is the part that you get taxed on. So for you're getting paid $2,000. You're going to get taxed on the entire amount. Where for my traveler nurses, they're not. They're only going to get taxed on the minimum that we are allowed to pay them. So I'm allowed to pay a nurse, depending on your state or area, $17 an hour or $21 an hour, like I said, depending on your state. Now, you work either 36 or 40 hours. 17 times 36 or 40 is going to be your taxable wages. Now, the rest of it, I make it up in stipends. In this scenario, your taxable wage is going to be $680. I'm going to give you a food stipend for $525 a week, a lodging stipend of $1,300 a week. So if you are paying $1,300 a week for lodging, you must be living in a mansion. And then your gross pay is $25.35. Now I got her $2,300, but this is just the example. I want to go over. Like I said, I'm going to change the numbers just a little bit here. So I want to go over some of the interesting data and the numbers I was able to find when doing some research here. So I want to compare this to an actual job that's out there. So I went to Glassdoor.com and I said, in Baltimore, how much are nurses getting paid on average? So they're getting paid $77,000 a year on average. The low, $60,000. The high, $101,000. case managers are getting paid $77,000, and then your average nurse is also $77,000. So this is what, if you were getting paid $77,000, or if you're a nurse getting paid somewhere similar, you can then go to paycheckcity.com as a single person and do, well, you can do it as any type of person, but this is where you're going to actually get the tax breakdown, or just look at your check. I had to do this because I had to see what we were actually, what you're getting taxed on. So I wanted to see the taxes in your actual area, what the costs are. So in this scenario, $77,000 you're making per year comes out to $1,480 a week. So you might want to grab a pencil and paper, because we're going to go through a lot of numbers here pretty quickly. So like I said, you're going to be paid $1,480 a week, which comes out to a federal withholding of $232, a Social Security of $91, Medicare of $21, and then it just says Baltimore on here for $39. Which actually comes out to a net pay, which is the money subtracting all of the taxes and withholdings, comes out to a net pay of $1,095. Now, the lowest I've ever got someone on is that number, $1,095. So this is your average nurse of $77,000, and this is like worst case scenario that I've ever seen a nurse get paid. We pay a lot more than that weekly. Now, the difference is you're going to look at, let's look at the numbers, comparing them both side by side. So $77,000, what I said, your salary as an average nurse in the Baltimore area. After taxes, what you're taking home every single year, is $56,000. That's a difference of $21,000. So you're giving away $21,000 to federal withholding, Social Security, Medicare, and just something that says Baltimore. Now, we've never thought about that middle part there, the federal withholding, the Social Security, Medicare, and Baltimore, as something that's negotiable. We always try to negotiate with the company, the hospital, the recruiter. We always try to negotiate with the wrong person. Let's negotiate with the federal withholding, Social Security, Medicare, and Baltimore. Let's negotiate with them. That's the goal here. Now, let's reverse. Let's flip this, I should say, to what I'm paying. So I'm paying her $2,331 a week. If you times that by 52, that comes out to $121,000 a year. But remember, they are 13-week contracts, and my goal is to get you into your next contract, and you might take a week off or 2 weeks off, whatever you want to do. My goal is to get you your next one over and over and over. And this isn't a career for the rest of your life, maybe. This could be for 2 or 3 years, or just do it for 1 year to make $121,000, then go back to your $77,000. Or I have some nurses that are doing this with as a career and doing amazing. So this is, lucky job. I'm going to categorize this as lucky job, making $121,000. So the reason I say is lucky job, because I don't know what nurse specialty you need to get into to make this much a year, because your average nurse makes $77,000 and the high was only $101. But let's say you made $121,000 right now. I wanted to break down what that would look like in federal withholding, Social Security, Medicare, and something called Baltimore. Okay, now this is the breakdown of it. $432 to federal withholding, $144 to Social Security, $33 to Medicare, and then $62 to Baltimore. Okay, that comes out to $1,657 a week that you're actually getting paid. So what is interesting about that's your net pay, $1,657. What's interesting about that, you can see how much it separates from $2,331 a week to $1,600 a week. There's a big difference in the pay. Now, let's look at the annual salary of $121,212 versus the new number of net pay after the withholdings and Social Security and Medicare. It comes out to $86,164. That's a $35,000 difference that you're giving to federal withholding, Social Security, Medicare, and Baltimore. Again, let's negotiate this $35,000. Let's negotiate that $21,000 in the average nurse's salary of $77,000. Let's put that money in your pocket. That's the whole goal here. I want to put that money in your pocket, and that's how this whole traveling nursing works. The advantages you get to travel, but the real advantage is you get this pay. So no matter what you choose, when I call you and I initially ask you, why do you want to go into traveling as a nurse? And you say schedule, money, or location, any three of those, you're still negotiating that money that you're giving away to federal withholding, Social Security, and Medicare. So this is the part where you're all wondering, like, okay, Joel, I get that, but like, how are we doing that? Like, how are you still negotiating that part and making this legal, as my best friend Ben from South Florida always says. He was like, Joel, this is illegal, and I say it's not, and I explain to him why, and this is how I'm going to explain it to you. And I can actually send you this pay package. It's an incredible pay package, how it breaks it down for you when we're looking at a job. So this same job, this $2,331 a week job, if you take the part that gets taxed, and remember earlier when I said we're going to pay you $17 an hour times 36 hours that you work, or 40 hours that you work, let's time that 17 by 36 or 40. In this scenario, it came out to $680, okay? And how I said in the beginning, remember this federal withholding, Social Security, Medicare in Baltimore? They're going to take that out of the $680, not out of the $2,331. They're only taking out of $680. So if you take those percentages, and I'll break them down for you, that's the only part that's coming out of it, which is a much different number to look at. Depending on which tax bracket you're in, when I went to paycheckcity.com, I just put as a single person. But if you're at a 15% tax rate, that's $102 coming out of the $680. If you're at a 20% tax rate, that's $136 coming out. If you had a 25% tax rate, that's $170 coming out of the $680. Or if you had a 30% tax rate, that's $204. Now, before, when I said $35,000 and $21,000 that you're giving away to federal, Social Security, Medicare in Arizona, this is the difference of number. In a 15% tax bracket, you're actually only giving out $5,304 a year. 20% tax bracket, you're only giving out $7,000. In a 25% tax rate, tax bracket, you're only giving out $8,840. And if you're at the 30% tax rate, kudos to you, but you're also only giving out $10,000. So no matter what tax bracket you're in, you're still doing better than if you were at your average job where your whole check's getting taxed on. Now, here's how we're making up the difference. So you're looking at it, I say, I'm going to pay you $680 a week to be a nurse at wherever you're going, at whatever specialty you're going into. How are you going to survive off that? How we're going to do it is, I'm going to give you a meal stipend of $525 for the week. And then I'm going to give you a lodging stipend of $1,330 for the week. Now, if you're staying with friends and family, and this is one of the things I love asking my nurses, like, hey, where do you have friends and family at? Where can I send you that you can maybe just stay with them? Or even if, worst case scenario, that you can't and we have to find a place, let's find a place that you're still saving a lot of money. Your weekly lodging is $1,330. You don't have to use that whole thing for lodging. I'm not going to ask you for receipts to know how you're using this. This is just how I'm going to pay you. This comes out to a weekly gross pay of $2,535. Now, after the tax brackets, after we give our money to taxes, this comes out to the first bracket, 15%, $2,433, or the 20% bracket of $2,399, or the 25% tax bracket of $2,365, or 30% tax bracket of $2,331. As you can see, she was in the 30% tax bracket because her and her husband make really good money. She's still making an incredibly amount more than she was making at her other job. So, this is how you get paid in the travel nursing career. Every scenario is going to be different. Every pay package is going to be different because of the specialty, the job, and how the interview goes. And like I said, listen to week 4 because I want to tell you when the interview starts. And the interview doesn't start at the hospital. It starts with the recruiter and it moves into the hospital. Alright, I know this was a ton of information to take in at one time, and it was a lot of things I wanted to cover on the first episode, but I wanted to keep it short as well. So one of my goals here was to keep it short. And the first episode is going to be the longest of me talking of things like this, of going over, I guess, everything I've written down to go over. Every week on, it's going to be about 10 to 15 minutes, and the rest of it's open to answering your questions that you have. And the way I want you to send me the questions is go to my LinkedIn page, Joel MacDonald, or find me on send me something via email at jmacdonald@gowithadvanced.com. I'd love to connect with you. You probably see me on LinkedIn already saying congratulations on your jobs out there. I am super appreciative to nurses. It's because of you I'm able to do my job somehow, some way. My mom had cancer and she fought through that cancer because of nurses like yourself being passionate, being happy the way you are, and motivating her to fight cancer. So I owe everything to you as the nurse. So if you ever hear me get too emotional with you or over thankful for you, that's why. And then, like I said, my whole family's in the medical field and they love what they do and they help patients as well. And I want to be able to turn that over to you. So thank you again for joining me on week 1 of my podcast, Next Level Nurses. I'd love to connect with you week 2. We're going to go over agency versus recruiter. Super, super important. Week 3, should I be exclusive with my recruiter? And week 4, when does my interview start? This is a 13-week podcast, and I can't wait to have this journey with you for 13 weeks. All right, have a wonderful day, and let's connect soon.